Welcome back, everybody, to the X Factor podcast. And today we're coming in with you. We open the page to week one and we close the page on week one, Monday night, against the Jets and the 49ers. I'll talk about that later on in the program. I'm going to start with the Kansas City Baltimore game, and I'm going to talk about all the games that have happened throughout week one, give you my thoughts, opinions. Some of them I'll talk more other than the other one because some of them are not really worth talking about as much, mainly because of how the game went. But there's a lot of teams that we should. I feel like I should talk about that need to be talked about. Um, and well, honestly, the first one is a big one to talk about. Always remember to subscribe if you like any football content, wrestling content. Not really posting in wrestling stuff now at this point, trying to keep up with this football aspect of things. My wrestling content, you would probably see it on most likely Twitter, which is X Factor Sports. Um, and then TikTok, you'll see my X Factor Sports also with that one, but that one would be my score predictions for games for NFL, obviously. And of course, here we'll talk about college football and NFL. College review is already out. Go check that out. Um, and we're gonna get right started here. So the Chiefs Ravens at home, AFC Championship rematch. I had a lot of expectations coming to this game. And a couple players that I was really looking forward to seeing and how they played. A couple disappointments in some of the players that I've seen in this game. We're going to start with the quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. I feel like they came in, Lamar trying to prove why he should have won MVP last year. I'm one of those people that didn't think he should have won MVP. I didn't think he should have even had a vote for MVP last year. So, as someone who wants to see why he won MVP, like 2019 Lamar, you could tell like he was MVP. Like that whole year, I was watching him play all year. It's like, yep, that's the MVP, Lamar Jackson. um, Last year, it didn't seem like really like an MVP Lamar. MVP the whole season was from the start of the season, you didn't really have anyone. But then after that, it was like I feel like Dak, Tyreek Hill, McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb those were players that in my opinion, that could have had a run for MVP. Um, Lamar was not even on my list. So seeing how he played in this game, I felt like he did all right. He had to carry the team through the whole game. Um, Mark Andrews he didn't even really do much. It was Isaiah Likely who had a huge game, 9 catches, 111 yards, a touchdown. He could have had two at the end of the game. That one, his foot ended up being out. But Lamar, he played very well rushing wise. Passing wise, you could see the stat. He was 26 for 41, 273, a touchdown. The yardage is very good. He had one touchdown. Besides that, I think there were still some spots where passes that should have been made and should have been completed that weren't completed. Two of them right off the bat was the last two plays of the game. One to Zay Jones, Zay Flowers, wide open, and straight up missed him. 90% of the quarterbacks make that throw. I'm surprised Lamar didn't make that throw, or he couldn't make it. He overthrown it a lot. And then the last one, obviously, even though Isaiah Likely still caught it, little over the top pass, of course Isaiah Likely not only having 1 foot in really hurt their day. Also, receiving wise, there wasn't really much on here that really blew out to me on the receiving side, except for Isaiah Likely. Zay Flowers had all right, 6 for 37. Running the ball, they were able to do well. I was very disappointed on how they executed with Derrick Henry after the first drive, because the first drive they had with the touchdown, Derrick Henry looked awesome, and then afterwards it went downhill from that. It felt like they could barely even use him. Um, and shout out to the Chiefs defense too for stopping them when they needed to stop him, because a lot of teams can't do that. Um, so Lamar had to put himself on the back of the team and show something out there. I still think Lamar played all right. There's some spots that I feel like he needs to improve on. Passing the ball wise still shows that there needs to still be need improvement, even though he's been in the league for several years now. Um, and like I said, I was very disappointed on how John Harbaugh and that offense used Derrick Henry. He had 13 for 46. I feel like he could have had a couple of more carries up around to that 17 to 20 range maybe. And with Derrick Henry, it's always one play that shows out the game. It's always that one run, that one big run that changes the game. He did it with Tennessee, and I expect him to do it here with the Ravens, but Chiefs just had him locked down for most of the game. Um, as of for the Chiefs side, I thought the Chiefs offense was a solid. Patrick Mahomes only 8 incompletions, 300 yards, a touchdown and an interception. The interception was just a bad throw, getting sacked in the moment. Um, Throws the interception. Running the ball wise, they didn't really do much. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 for 45, touchdown. Xavier Worthy was the highlight of the show, and it wasn't on how big the plays were. It was on how they were able to use him in certain situations. Um, Two big touchdowns, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. And Worthy, he's going to be that one guy on this offense. Is going to be a sneaky way to use him on the offense. Because they have Rashid Rice on the team. They have Travis Kelce, Pacheco. Um, they have a solid They have solid weapons on the offense, and Xavier Worthy, he can be that Tyreek Hill role, but in like a sneaky fashion. Like you don't know when they're gonna pull up with him. Rashid Rice played amazing. He had 7 for 103, showing why he is their number one receiver over there. Travis Kelce didn't really do much, 3 for 34. But I feel like now teams have slowly started to know how to stop Kelce and Mahomes. So now that Mahomes has other weapons, it's like you know how to stop Kelce, but you gotta learn how to stop these rest of these guys. And then when you try to stop those guys, Kelsey's open or whatever. So, and Mahomes knows how to get the ball out to his receivers. Hell, he can get the ball out to pretty much anyone that if he wants to. Hell, he had to work with Kadarius Toney last year, so that proves one part. Chiefs, on the other hand, I thought they played solid defense. I feel like penalties was one of the biggest talks of the game. The penalties was the biggest talk. The illegal formations, holding, and at this point we've had the same conversation about the penalties for the last 2 years now. Jawan Taylor is another one. Always coming on the offsides. I really don't even know what to say except just deal with it at that point, because it doesn't matter what the Chiefs do. If the refs ain't gonna call it, you might as well just shut up about it and don't mind it at all. Obviously, when you play the teams like the Chiefs and all that in Philadelphia and San Francisco, you're gonna have to deal with penalty issues. I feel like refs are biased when it comes to especially those three teams, which is not really exciting as someone who watches football. Like, you want them to play, but also play by the rules. But at the same time, don't nitpick every little play because like almost every play someone's doing something on a penalty, like holding or something. And if you're just throwing those out every play, it's kind of stupid, you know. Um, so all I have to say to that is just really at this point, as fans, deal with it. They're not gonna fix nothing on it, and the only way you're gonna prove it is if you just beat them clean. And there's been teams that haven't been able to do it, so if they can do it, then a lot of other teams can do it. Heading over to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Philadelphia coming out after their brutal playoff loss. And one thing I don't understand, and this all the drama heading up into this game, it wasn't even about the teams. It was about the fucking country they were going to, Brazil, and all this shit. I'm sorry, they should never go to Brazil again. Players, even looking on social media, players were not comfortable going there. They didn't like that they had to go there. So I'm hoping they don't have to go there again for their safety. Now, look at the game. Jaden Reed for the Packers. Very good game. 4 catches, 138 yards, a touchdown. Jordan Love, I thought he played all right. 17 completions, though, on 38 or 34 passes is not great. But if you look at the 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception, that's a solid stat line. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 278 yards, 14 incompletions. I feel like he played all right. He played solid. But the main talk was Saquon Barkley having 3 touchdowns on offense, 2 rushing, 1 receiving. And if we're being honest here, if it ain't going to be Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, it's going to be Saquon that they're going to have to deal with. And I feel like a lot of teams could probably stop Saquon. You know, how Saquon with the Giants. But I feel like the main downfall for the Eagles this season is going to come down to Kellen Moore. As someone who has watched his offense as a Cowboys fan for a lot of years, they bring in good stats, they bring in wins and all that, but you look into their offense, deep in their offense, you can easily stop them. That's why a lot of teams were able to stop him later on in Kellen Moore's tenure with Dallas, because they figured out how to stop him. And that's one of the reasons why Dallas got rid of him, was because of situations like that. Now, end of the game, Jordan Love gets hurt. You look at the play, Jalen Carter, he hold on to his leg until he fell over. You could see his knee literally pop. Thank God it isn't an ACL tear, and I think it was an MCL tear or something. He's gonna be out for a couple of weeks. And now Malik Willis is their starting quarterback. Now, I don't think they can win with Malik Willis. Malik Willis has proven that he is not a good football player. He's not a good quarterback. I could be, and I said this on Twitter, they're generous getting 3 wins out of Malik Willis, but most likely they're probably going to get 1 or 2. And if we're going to be really realistic, I don't think they could win with him. You could throw in literally the best receiver in the league, and he'd somehow not get the ball to him, you know. So if I was a Green Bay fan, I'd be worried right now. Philadelphia, I would just be worried about Kellen Moore and his offense, and Jalen Hurts and turnovers, because we know that's been a recurring thing since last year. Going into the Saints and Panthers game, this was just everything, but this was just a blowout. First play on Panthers offense, they throw an interception. It was just from start to finish. This game was a blowout. Saints scored 17 in the first quarter. Derek Carr looked very good out there. All the slander and everything he's getting from fucking people and all that. Brought back fucking the 2016 Derek Carr in him, and he just fucking blew up 19 for 23, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, and I feel like a lot of this with this win includes how bad the Panthers are. And the one thing, Panthers, I believe they spent the most money out of any team in free agency last year. And look what happened. They get blown out in week 1. And you look at that, and it's like, going into the offseason, seeing them do this, oh, damn, Panthers are going to look solid. They went all in. That does not look great on their part. And don't mean to really throw this in there, but Dallas, who didn't only sign one free agent in the free agency signing market, they signed one guy, and that one guy literally had one of his best games last week. And they relied on their draft. And obviously, if you look at the Panthers, there is nothing really exciting about this team. I honestly don't know what to say, really. It's Bryce Young. He just played so bad. I don't know how you could play so bad as a quarterback in the league. You're coming in your second year. You have Canales, who is an offensive mind coach who helped Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers get into the playoffs last year. Come in, and you would have thought he would be able to help Bryce Young in 1 weekend. This is what happens. If I was a Panthers organization, I'd be very worried right now. And even though this is week 1, a 47-10 loss in week 1 is not a good start for your season. We seen what happened to the Giants last year. They lost 40-0 to Dallas, and look what their season ended with. A disaster. So hopefully the Panthers could turn this around, but if they play like that against the Saints are not a great football team either, I'd be very worried to see how the rest of the season goes. Vikings, Giants, another blowout team, another blowout game. Giants, Daniel Jones, showing why he is a terrible quarterback. $40 million. I don't think I've ever had to say this about a team before, but the 2022 New York Giants would have been better off missing the playoffs. And honestly, I don't wish that on anybody, just hoping, hey, hope you miss the playoffs. Well, I hope on some of the rival teams that Dallas has to play, obviously, as a fan point, but if you're looking as someone who watches football, analyzes it, you hope to see teams play good. And honestly, I'm going to say this about the 2022 Giants only. They should have missed the playoffs. They were fooled. The Giant fans were fooled. The organization was fooled. The Brian Daboll effect hit that season, and it's just been downhill since then. Daniel Jones is not a great quarterback. I think we all know that. But that ain't even the main problem. Malik Neighbors, who obviously he was the best receiver out there for New York. I feel bad for him the most because he doesn't even want to play with Daniel Jones, I don't think. And it's just a matter of time before he sits there and says, I want to trade because I can't play with Daniel Jones. Now, if Malik Neighbors plays for a season or two, or plays this season and then next season and plays really well and is able to get good stats based off quarterback play, and he goes, I want to trade or get rid of Daniel Jones, I would eat that cap up and get rid of him. The Broncos did. You have drafts you can build through. If you're good at drafting, you can build your team through the draft. Hell, the Broncos, they ate up most of their cap just so they could get rid of Russell Wilson. And I think the Giants should do the same thing with Daniel Jones. Eat the cap and build through the draft for these next couple of years because that's what you're going to have to do. I would still stick Brian Daboll in there because I think he is a good fit for the New York Giants. I feel like he fits of what the Giants want in a winning football team. I feel like he has that attitude as well. I just feel like quarterback play is one of the biggest things when it comes to this league. And I said it in my predictions video. Quarterback play, quarterback play, quarterback play. That's what's going to end a lot of these team seasons. And you're already seeing it with a couple of teams that I predicted. Quarterback play is already the issue. Browns, Panthers, Giants. And honestly, I thought the Vikings were going to be another one. Sam Darnold looked great out there, I think. Sam Darnold, he brought back the USC version of himself. 19 for 24, 208, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Even though it wasn't against the Giants, that's still a pretty solid stat line. And if he can pull out that every week, Giants are back in business and back into a playoff spot. Next, this one's a disappointing one. These next two games I'm about to talk about are little. They're in my. I'm really don't even know how to feel about it based off the situations on both teams' quarterbacks. The Patriots upset the Cincinnati Bengals 16-10. The last 3 years, the Bengals have lost week 1 in upsetting fashion. And I was one of those people that said the Patriots weren't going to win a game this year. And I really believed it. I didn't believe that they could win a game. They come in and they didn't play well, but they didn't play great either. They were decent. I really don't know what to say except Jacoby Brissett, 15 for 24, 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Ramondre Stevenson was the highlight of the game. 25 carries, 120 yards, a touchdown. Proves that the Patriots are still a very bad football team. But they aren't really who I'm really worried about right now. Because I know by the end of the season, they're going to have a top 5 draft pick, and Jared Mayo is going to be on the hot seat in 2 seasons. I know that. I think a lot of people know that, except if you're a Patriots fan. You're kind of delusional right now. You're in the moment. I understand why you're in the moment. You win a game when not many people thought you could win. My worries are on Joe Burrow. Because, and let's be real here, he doesn't have T. Higgins. Or I don't even think T. Higgins even played. He didn't even have a catch. Jamar Chase was the only one on the team that showed impact. The running game was awful. 9 for 44 on Zach Moss. Defense, obviously, lining up 16 points on defense is pretty solid. But when you have an offense like the Bengals and you have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, you should be able to show something, T. Higgins. Also, and honestly, I don't even think Joe Burrow's wrist could be healed. Even if it is healed, I think we need to accept the reality that people are still holding on to that Super Bowl appearance as why they think Joe Burrow is still good. Those 2 seasons where they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Champ or the playoff games, and where they lost the Super Bowl, they're hanging on to those moments. And since last year, Joe Burrow has a QB record of 5-6, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 2,400 yards. Just over the last 2 seasons, and he didn't even play great last year. Hell, did we have to bring up the Browns game again? I think there needs to be a serious talk on Joe Burrow, because since those two playoff appearances, they haven't even played great. They were 5-5 with him last year. I think they finished off 4-3 without him. Joe Burrow, I think he needs to fix a lot of issues of what's going on right now. And even if it's his wrist, try to hopefully get that rehab, get that better. Um, but seeing them lose like this in week one, I'm 90% sure that they're going to be fine through the rest of the season. But if they play like that every week, I don't really know what to say. But going on to the next team, next game, Steelers Falcons. Steelers won by scoring 0 touchdowns. That is the talk of the game. Well, it's not even really the huge talk. Both teams played like shit. Uh, Justin Fields started over Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields had the one shot to prove why he can start over Russell Wilson. Even though Russell Wilson still had pads on and everything, he wasn't playing, which honestly could be the worst situation for Russ because they're now 1-0 without him. Fields, he played all right. He had 156 yards, 17 for 23 on passing. He had 57 yards rushing. George Pickens, obviously the best part of the team. Defense, very solid. They are every year. But this is one of the most Mike Tomlin games ever. The last couple of years, the Steelers have became the Iowa Hawkeyes in a way. Bad offense, good defense. Good special teams in that matter as well. So that is very wild to see that they won based just off field goals. And how many field goals was it? It was 6. 6 field goals. 18 points. Falcons. I think the main part is Kirk Cousins here. 96% of their snaps were coming out of shotgun formation. Any area where Cousins did not have to throw the ball, that's what kind of play they were running. If he didn't have to go out, make a play or something, he couldn't do it. Makes me think that his Achilles injury is not fully healed, and if that's the case, why the fuck is he still out there? I'm sorry if you're still dealing with a leg injury or whatever, anything that's gonna affect your throwing arm or your legs, and you're 36 years old as a quarterback. Let the fucking rookie go out there. Let Michael Penix show what he could do. Because all you're doing is holding your team hostage, and you're just gonna serve losses. And Michael Penix, he could show, and even if he has Kirk Cousins there on the sideline, have him show him show him how NFL quarterbacks work. Because remember, college quarterbacks are not college football. College passing is way different than NFL. I think a lot of you people know that, and it proved with a lot of quarterback play based off a lot of these rookies that have played this week. But like I said, if they're putting in Kirk Cousins in there and he's still injured, I think that's a bonehead move, and that's one way to ruin your season off the bat. And they paid a lot of money for him. So you expect to get that money's worth out of him, So hopefully he does get his money's worth. So going on to the next game, Colts Texans, very close game, 29-27. C.J. Stroud, solid game on running game. Joe Mixon looked amazing, 30 carries on 159 yards and a touchdown. Nico Collins was a monster out there. Stephon Diggs, 6 catches, 33 yards, 2 touchdowns. Texans, obviously, they look great. But the Colts looked very interesting out there. Let me read you this stat line. 9 for 19, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Completing 9 passes for 212 yards. That's like crazy shit right there. Anthony Richardson, I thought he looked good out there. I believe he was. How do I put it? I said in the review or the predictions, I feel like the growing pains are still gonna be a problem there. I still feel like that is still true. But he looked great on the most part, though. You can't sit there and say 9 completions for 212 yards. That's a pretty good stat right there. He only threw the ball 19 times. Rushing wise, Jonathan Taylor 48 yards, 16 carries. That ain't really good, but he did have a touchdown. So Alec Pierce had a really good game. Michael Pittman didn't really do much. Um, so yeah, so um, Bills Cardinals. Um, my thoughts on this game. I didn't really see much of this game, but I did see a lot of film on some of the film on it. Um, I think the one takeaway I had from the stuff that I did see though is that Josh Allen's pretty much still carrying the team. Um, he has no really anyone to throw to except for Coleman. Um, and after that, it's still a very slim roster that they go through here. They still have James Cook, who is he's good at rushing, but he's also good at catching the ball and making plays with that way too. But Josh Allen proving that he has to carry the team every week, which is they had to put up 34 against the Cardinals to the Cardinals 28. Kyler Murray played all right. Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. 1 catch for 4 yards. That's a very disappointing debut. Um, I believe that he ran at a 16-mile-an-hour speed, which I don't know if that's really slow. And you look at that, you think it'd be fast, but it's one of the slowest that they've recorded off the game. Um, so those are really my takes off the stuff that I did see off that game. Um, Bears Titans. Um, the one thing from this game is I was very, very disappointed in this game. And it wasn't because of the Titans. Well, I am disappointed on how the Titans were able to lose without having an offensive touchdown, or without letting up an offensive touchdown. But Caleb Williams, what is he doing here? 14 for 29, 93 yards, very ugly. DeAndre Swift, 10 carries, 30 yards. Um, Literally this whole game. Watching this game is like watching an Iowa game. Punt, punt. They had, how many punts did they have? 6 punts for 270 yards. Ironically, they have Torrey Taylor, who is a former Iowa punter, so he might be the fucking curse, because let's be real here. He had to punt a lot in Iowa, so he might have put a curse on the Bears here. But I'm very impressed that they were able to win and not even score an offensive touchdown. Will Levis throwing an interception, which led to a pick six. Very ugly. A lot of offensive play was ugly this week. And that felt very weird to watch. A lot of offenses played very bad this week. Which is, like I said, it's very weird because in this league, defense, when you see good defense, it's like, okay, something to look forward to because offense usually runs the league. A lot of shitty offense. And Titans, I thought they played well on the defensive aspect for laying up Chicago, not have these opportunities. Anything outside of the defense should get put the blame on because if it wasn't for the 3 touchdowns that they had, they would have had the game won. I think it was 17-3. Yeah, 17-3, and they would have had him 17-3. Boom, game. Win the game. So defensive wise, I thought they played really well. Offense and special teams, I'm sorry, but that was just horrendous to watch. Um, Now we go on to the next game here. All right. Jaguars Dolphins. I did not see much of this one. Tyreek Hill, he got arrested, came back and scored a touchdown, 80-yard touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, 12 for 21, 162 yards, touchdown. Solid, nothing really too special. Um, Brian Thomas Jr. had a touchdown. I saw that. That was a pretty cool, good looking touchdown for him for his first touchdown in the league. Um, Offensively for Miami, Tua, 338 yards, a touchdown. Very solid running game. Did not look great. Passing or receiving wise, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, showing why they're the best receiving two group in the league. Um, so just looking off that, Jaguars are such a weird team though. I think Jaguars have one of those teams where you don't really know what to expect out of them. Because, like, one game they could upset one of the best teams in the league, but then the next week they could lose to a mid team or something like that. They're just a weird team. Um, so, but I got to start speeding some of these up because I'm already 36 minutes. It's a yap session over here. Yap session, I'm sweating like a fucking hog. So, let's get these going here. Broncos, Seahawks. Broncos, Seattle, I thought they played solid. I thought Geno Smith, solid game. Kenneth Walker, solid game. Tyler Lockett, solid game. Bo Nix on the Denver side, he played, and he made plays that kept him in the game, but the two interceptions did not really play well, and that's one of the things. If you watch Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix realized real quick that you can't play like you did in college, like he did in this game. You play like that, you play like you played in college. In the NFL, you're most likely going to be released in the next 2 seasons. Bo Nix, he led the team in rushing, so he did well in the rushing game. I know he had the rushing touchdown. He put the team on his back there, but I can't really blame Bo Nix in this situation because they had to get rid of a lot of cap, and they had to eat a lot of that cap up for Russ, and they got rid of a lot of the receivers. They don't really have anyone in the receiving group except for Sutton and Josh Reynolds, Josh Reynolds is a very underrated player. Not many people talking about him. He's an underrated receiver. You see him with the Lions, you see him with the Rams, especially with the Rams. He did really well with the Rams at points with that offense. So outside of Josh Reynolds and Cortland Sutton, that offense is kind of lost. So hopefully they get a receiver down the line. Maybe they try to get an Amari Cooper who isn't really doing much for Cleveland right now. Cleveland sucks. Deshaun Watson's is fucking terrible, so Chargers Raiders. I did not see anything from this game. The highlight of the game was fights. That's the only thing I saw from this game. Gardner Minshew, stat wise, it looked all right. Nothing really too special here. Seeing that Jacoby Myers had more yards and less catches, and Devontae Adams is weird. Brock Bowers looked pretty solid, 6 for 58. Defensively, though, I thought looks like a defensive game here. Justin Herbert, 17 for 26, 144 yards, touchdown. A lot of quarterback play. You're going to see a lot of 100-yard passing games. J.K. Dobbins, 10 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown. That's fucking crazy. Lad McConkey, he was one of the guys that I was looking forward to see in this offense. And the Chargers are one of those offenses where they don't really have many good receivers. So you're going to see the growing pains come through that and see what they can do and try to get a receiver to come with them. And when I did see the one, I don't know if any of y'all see this, but Raiders press conference, Raider reporter, literally you could hear him say that the Ravens were going to beat Gardner Minshew's ass next week. So who knows how long that guy has a job for, but that you have some balls to say that while you have the mic on or whatever. Now we have a couple games here. 49ers Jets. The 49ers Jets did not see much of this game. The parts that I did see, though, Rodgers still proving he has one of the best balls in the game, and that okay, that sounded fucking awful. He can throw one of the best footballs. He could throw one of the best. The way he throws a football, it's just so smooth. The way he's able to get the ball out and in the air. Saying that he has the best balls in the league is kind of fucking crazy, but hey, if you got best balls, you got best balls. I guess that's really the only way to put it. Um, but 13 for 21, 167, a touchdown, a pick. I did see the touchdown, very good touchdown, and I did see the interception. And Tyrod Taylor touchdown. That's um, yeah, that's pretty well. If yeah, that was something. Brees Hall looked mid out there. Alan Lazard was the highlight of the team outside of Garrett Wilson. Alan Lazard had 2 touchdowns though, so pretty solid for him. Brock Purdy, uh, 19 for 29, 137 or 131, 231, touchdown and a pick. Um, the player of this game though was Jordan Mason. Um, Coming out, realizing now that he learned that Friday that he was going to be playing, to where the coaches are like, yeah, you're not, pretty much telling reporters that he lied about it. Um, so they could be seeing a penalty because when your players are, you're supposed to report when they're, like when you officially tell them that they're out. And if you tell the backup that they're playing on a Friday, then you have to announce that the starter is going to be out. So who knows? 49ers, they could probably get fined for it. I doubt it though. Um, but who knows if Mason's even going to get on the field again because of it. Well, McCaffrey is questionable for this week, so and also Brandon Ayuk, huge payday and doesn't do shit. If they give him all that money and he doesn't do nothing, I'm actually gonna laugh because he talked all this talk all off season and doesn't do this. And I get he's only been on the team for like a week and a half, so like you're still trying to get their practice reps in. But that was getting paid that much and only have 2 catches, 28 yards. Like, come on, playing very mid is what we call it around here. And then we have the Lions and the Rams. Lions and Rams, I think Matthew Stafford played really well out there. I can watch Matthew Stafford play quarterback for... You can throw in 27 hours of Matthew Stafford footage, and I would sit there and enjoy every minute of that. He's such a good quarterback to watch. Between him and Rodgers, those are two quarterbacks I love watching. The way they're able to throw the ball, the way they're able to get the ball out of their hands and into receivers, and make receivers that are not well known in this league. And that's one of the main things I see when it comes to great quarterbacks is if you can make players around you better, then you're great. Matthew Stafford, for example, Puka Nacua. Even though Puka Nacua is already a great player, I think working with Stafford made him even better. Cooper Kupp, for example. Even though Cooper Kupp was already good when Stafford got there, it leveled his game up even more after that. Calvin Johnson, even though he was a great player, Matthew Stafford leveled it up even more. Glazing Matthew Stafford hours. I think that's what we're going to start calling it now. They got the witching hour on Red Zone. We got the Matthew Stafford glazing hour here on the X Factor podcast. So enjoy it. Lions. Stafford looked all right. Goff looked all right. Montgomery. I think he had the game-winning touchdown. When I watch teams like the Lions and the Rams, I just sit there and just enjoy it and smile. And I was fishing when this game was going on, so I was enjoying it regardless. It's just the way those teams are put together and the way they're coached. I love watching what they do. Both defenses are solid. In Detroit's defense, I feel like they've gotten better on defense. I know Aiden Hutchinson had an interception. The way he was able to sneak up and get the interception. A lot of teams need to be doing that. I think Dallas, personally, because I'm still waiting for that Micah Parsons interception. I feel like Micah Parsons' career is complete if he gets that one interception. Um, that's the only thing I need because I feel like a lot of the other great defensive ends in the league have had an interception. So Micah Parsons needs to throw himself into that group. And we're on Micah Parsons' glazing hour. So, but very good, a very fun game to watch. I think I like this one more than their playoff game. If I'm being honest with you. And also this game proved that overtime rules suck. So, um, going into Commanders and Buccaneers, um, another day, another dollar for Baker Mayfield would taking a W. Um, Buccaneers looked great. I can't lie. Baker Mayfield has, I think he's found his new home over there in with Tampa. He is just on another level right now. Coming at the end of the season last year, playoffs he played well, and going in just one game into this year, hell, the rushing game wasn't even great, but he still was able to have almost 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 incompletions. Like he had a very good game, even though it's just against the Commanders. Commanders are still very shitty in my opinion. Um, it was very fun to watch him, and then watching the film on this game, him, Godwin, Evans. I had him winning 6 games, and I feel like an idiot after watching one game. Commanders, Jane Daniels, he looked alright, 7 incompletions. He led the team in rushing. No doubtly, he looked like the best quarterback out there. Just defense sucks. But what else do you expect when you have Dan Quinn as your head coach? So yeah. And then we're gonna get to the last game. You kind of know how it goes. My favorite team I always talk about last here on the show, the Cowboys. Now I watched this game from the first play to the last play, and coming in this game, I was already very excited. They gave Dak the huge contract, um, and hoping to see something out of what he could do, and he showed highlights. He showed some good plays out there. He had the one on the first drive or second drive. First drive was ugly. It was like a 3-and-out. They had a penalty. Zach Martin let up a sack, which he doesn't really do at all. Um, and then of course you have the incompletion, or they have the one. I think it was a rush by Zeke. First play hurdle. Zeke hurdling is fucking crazy. Um, so that was pretty fun to watch. Dak, on the other hand, 19 for 32, 179 yards, a touchdown. He had the one touchdown. Oh, that was such a beautiful. If you like watching film on quarterbacks, the one touchdown he had on Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott might be the best quarterback under pressure. And when it comes to teams blitzing him, he might be the best quarterback to counter those because he literally took like what a couple steps back and just tossed it over. And Brandon Cooks, by the time he threw it, Brandon Cooks didn't even cut the out on his route. There was literally he was still running straight when he threw it. He was just about ready to make that cut when Dak threw it. Um, so that's trusting your receiver. And Brandon Cooks, obviously, he's a very underrated receiver. Not many people talk about him, even though he's well known in the league. Um, him and CD had solid games today. CD Lamb, he had 5 catches for 61 yards. He didn't catch a touchdown, but I expect it to happen in the next couple of weeks. Maybe, the Saints next week, I could see it happening, getting a touchdown. Zeke, 10 for 40. That's about a realistic Ezekiel Elliott stat line. He had a touchdown, though, so I can't really get mad about it. If I can get that stat line out of Zeke every week, I would not even be mad. Rico Dowell, though, I feel like we need to see more coming out of him. Deuce Vaughn, obviously, and then Hunter Lupke. I want to see more coming out of those guys. And Hunter Lupke, who is a fullback, had 2 catches on 18 yards. Hopefully we get to see him in the running game. So that's another part to look at. Defensive wise, defense looked absolutely beautiful. This is the best I've seen this defense look. Even though they had to play against backup tackles and no Nick Chubb, it's hard to play defense in this league. and they played very well. Eric Hendricks, fucking phenomenal. First game in, and he that one free agent signing that Dallas made during that March April term, he made the all in quote look realistic because he literally went all in this game, and he had an interception, two sacks, uh, and I believe he had a TFL as well. DeMarvin Overshown, a linebacker from Texas, he had a very good game. His speed is very fucking crazy. And then coming after the game, learning that he just had to spy Deshaun Watson, really. Um, that was pretty much an easy job for him then. He had an easy day. Micah Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence looked phenomenal. Trayvon Diggs had an interception. Good for him though. He come back from injury, gets an interception. Um, but defense looked different though. This looked like a new revamped Dallas defense. Um, and if you read the articles from after the game, Trayvon Diggs was talking about how Mike Zimmer has like 50 different sets of plays or sets of how their defense runs, and they only ran like three of them. So it's going to be hard to defend that Dallas defense where most of their plays they haven't even ran yet. Um, Obviously, when you get later onto the season, that's going to change. But if you have 50 different ways or 50 different concepts, then um, you're going to have a problem with that. And Mike Zimmer is one of the best defensive coordinators, in my opinion. And he showed it this week. Deshaun Watson looked like straight bum. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Bad organizations make bad decisions, and they kept it. They kept this one with Deshaun Watson. This ain't even really on the team. Deshaun Watson's just a very bad quarterback. And then obviously making his burner account. I don't know if anyone's seen that burner. He made a burner account talking about not giving him the right plays and he's not comfortable in the offense. No one gives a shit, dude. You're fucking terrible. I gave him the benefit of the doubt when he first came back about having rust, but then he just seems to have another way to. He doesn't even look like he wants to be there. The players around him don't even look like they want to be around him. Um, and in Cleveland, same situation as the Giants. Eat that cap space up and get rid of him. That's all you need to do at this point. Hell, if I was Cleveland, half your team's already destroyed anyway. Look for a new quarterback. And by the way, Amari Cooper, 2 catches for 16 yards. That should tell you something. And also didn't help you have Keelan Carson, rookie, who was on him. He played really well against him. I wish I still had the tweet that someone said Cowboy fans are being too calm about Keelan Carson covering Amari Cooper, because everyone acted like Amari Cooper was going to toast him up. Everyone was going to act like Cleveland was going to beat Dallas. There was a lot of people that thought Cleveland was going to beat Dallas. There was a lot of teams that thought the Giants were going to beat Dallas last year. Look what happened. Dallas, the draft, they have proven that they can go all in the draft. And they did Cooper Beebe, Tyler Guyton, 2. And if we didn't make that one trade for Guyton, we don't get Cooper Beebe in this situation. Cooper Beebe played his first game as a center. 0 pressures. Guyton, he had like 2 pressures, and he had to go up against Myles Garrett. Like, he had to go up against one of the best defensive players in this generation, and he does that against him. This, like I said, go the draft, and Keelan Carson, defensive cornerback. Like, the draft is really where they went all in on, I think. And I said this even when the draft happened. Dallas went all in on the draft. When Jerry Jones said he was going all in, he went all in on the draft. He didn't go in all in on free agency. He went all in on the draft. And they drafted pretty well this year. Because I feel like they got the players that they need for their team. The players that they need for offense. And Mike Zimmer got the players that he wants for defense. and now we're gonna see it all unfold. And Mike Zimmer making Mozzie Smith look like a dominant force on the D line is special to watch. And in watching one of the interviews, or one of the things Zimmer said, Mozzie Smith, he doesn't have a problem doing the dirty work for Dallas. And honestly, or for that D line, Mozzie Smith might be the perfect guy to do the dirty work for that team. Um, and him being in the middle like that, and he's lost weight though, but he looked good out there. Um, and I think a lot of it has to do with the weight loss. You can't really be big in in the NFL unless you're athletic while you're big. We see it with a lot of players. So um, going into next week, we have a very interesting week of football. The Bills play the Dolphins, 49ers play the Vikings, Seattle plays the Patriots, Giants, and Commanders. The Chargers and the Panthers, Cowboys, Saints, Colts, Packers, Browns, Jaguars, Jets, Titans, Bucks, Lions. Playoff game. That one's going to be fun to watch. Bucks and Lions. Raiders, Ravens, Rams, Cardinals, Bengals, Chiefs, Broncos, Steelers, Bears, Texans. That's going to be a fun one to watch. And then Falcons and Eagles on Monday night. Chiefs, Bengals is going to be a fun one to watch too. So my predictions will be on TikTok. Follow X Factor Sports if you want my wrestling content, also with some of my other football content. Follow my Twitter, X Factor Sports. Stay blessed. Have a good day. And don't do drugs.